Good morning, good morning, good morning, good morning, everybody. Good morning, YouTube. Not a solid sports video blog. Episode 325. 325. Today's day is April 2nd, 2026. Troy West with you here once again. Um, got a lot to talk about today, even though, um, this is usually a slow part of the sports season. But got MLB starting. We're going to look at the early standings with that. I touch on Shohei Tony again already early as an MVP candidate. NBA, we got the playoff picture, the standings there. Of course, the 10 teams from each conference is set, but still um, all about matchups with people who are land, even though that's starting to clear up as well. I think it's about basically a week left of the season. So things starting to clear up there. And I want to touch on the Golden State Warriors. The Warriors, they will be in the play-in at least. Um, but I go deeper into the Warriors, what I think, um, just what I think their future are. NFL, the off season, but they had the owners meeting, so a couple of quotes and stuff was taking Eagles, surprising news coming out of there, the Jets, and the Browns yesterday as well. So I touch on all of that. Other NFL news, of course, off the field, because it's not the season, it's the off season. So, um, and of course, you see the thumbnail. I talk about a little bit about Tiger Woods. I'm not going to spend a lot of time on that. Um, we'll look at the Final Four for the weekend. Men's and women's side is set. Men's start on Saturday. Women's starts tomorrow. They're the championship games Monday for the men, Sunday for the women. So we'll talk about that. We'll touch on the XFL as well. I try to keep up with that. Um, NHL playoffs is about to start as well, so a lot of things to talk about this morning. Um, but let's start the MLB. MLB, Major League Baseball. Just a weekend exactly. Well, yeah, you can say exactly because ain't no games been played yet today. So uh, baseball, you know how longer the season is. Some teams you should know they're going to be there. Some teams, off the high starts, you think will they stay there or will they won't. Of course, American League East Yankees started 5-1. What I'm impressed by the Yankees is the pitching has came. I think they already got three shutouts on the season. I think they only had, excuse me, they only had like three last season. So that that was that's what surprised me with the Yankees. Um, Blue Jays at 4-2, um, Orioles 3-3, Tampa 2-4, Boston 1-5. We expect Boston to be there. Like I said, this division, Tampa has shown they could compete as well. So a long way to go with this division, but great start for the Yankees, especially on the pitching side. Aaron Judge, a little cold to start the season, but that's not going to last either. So um, Central Royals 3-2, Cleveland at 4-3. I did see the Cleveland the Guardians play a little bit. Detroit at 2-4, Minnesota 1-4, Chicago 1-5. Um, I expect the White Sox, like I said, they're going in the right direction now, but um, we'll see how their season goes. Minnesota as well. I don't, I've been behind them the last couple of years. So pretty much how this looks is probably going to stay, even though like I said, seven games in at the most. Um, the West, Houston Astros at 5-2, Texas at 4-2. Of course, also most of these teams haven't been at home yet. Texas is one of them. Seattle haven't been on the road yet. So I still like Seattle to win this division. Um, But the Astros still with the experience, so not surprising. Angels 3 and 4, and the A's are 1 and 5. Um, I see. So let's talk about the A's as well. So we'll see um, if they can bounce back. National League East, Miami Marlins at 5-1. My Braves 4-2. Hopefully they can go on the road to get some wins. Washington, Philly, and the Mets all 3-3. Like I said, the East in the National League is a little tough as well. Like I said, I'm still um, more inclined to believe Philadelphia is going to win this division. But like I said, I hope my Braves can really make an impact and uh, hold down this division as well. So Miami, like I said, the Marlins is a weird team. They have come out of nowhere with years that they play well. Is this a year or is just a high start? But baseball, like I said, long season, long season. Milwaukee Brewers at 5-1 in the Central in the National League. St. Louis 4-2. Pittsburgh, Cincinnati, and the Cubs are 3-3. Everybody expect the Cubs to be the class of this division, but like I said, don't count out the Brewers. They've been the class of this division really for the last 4 or 5 years. So NL West, the LA Dodgers at 4-2, no surprise. I'm gonna touch on a Tony, excuse me, Shohei Tony in a minute. Diamondbacks at 3-3. They start off 0-3. They flipped it. Um, got home and won their first 3 home games. Giants, Colorado, and the San Diego Padres at 2-4. I'm just surprised for the Padres how bad they looked um, so far, even though it's early. Um, but yeah, you expect the Dodgers, the Diamondbacks, the Padres, the Giants to extend as well. Rockies, of course, not knowing what direction they was in, but they 2 good wins in Toronto. 2 good wins in Toronto for them, so give them credit for that. But like I said, it's still early in the season, so these are the early season standings. You can't put too much into them. It's just simply too early. But um, uh, I wanted to talk about Tony because he pitched the other day and um, he looked great on the mound. You know what he does at the plate. Um, until otherwise, he's going to be the MVP of the National League, unless somebody has like a historic home run hit this season or something like that. Um, if that don't happen, Tony is the clear MVP of the National League. American League, of course, like I said, is Judge until further notice as well. But I think he has more people, to challenge him. Vlad Jr., Bobby Witt Jr. for the Royals. Um, I like Bellinger for the Rangers. Kyle Riley for the Seattle Mariners. If Cleveland plays well, Jose Maria has a chance. So you got guys that could challenge Judge more than a Tony got in the National League. Like I said, I think the only way he doesn't win it if somebody hits 70 home runs or something like that. And you got to give it to him. But what he does on the mound and at the plate, it's unbelievable. Of course, he had the surgery, so he didn't pitch all of last season, but he's pitching now. Dodgers, like I said, I've said it. I'm gonna say it probably the whole year until I see them lose in the playoffs. I don't see. I mean, that's who I think the champions going to be again. Of course, the last team to repeat was the Yankees in the '90s, the late '90s. Was it '98, '99, and 2000? They won 3 straight World Series, and it was going for the fourth, but the Diamondbacks stopped that. It's 7 games. Of course, Kurt Schilling and Randy Johnson pretty much dominated that series, um, and the Yankees couldn't get over that. But yeah, so yeah, early. So of course, we'll check on the standings every week. Days can flip in baseball a week's time, just like in the NBA. So we'll check and see how the standings look next week. And Tony is just unbelievable. I just had to throw that out there. I think he pitched 6 scoreless innings the other day, and still doing it at the plate. So He's definitely the best player in baseball, and definitely is the National League MVP early and probably the whole season long. So, all right, so that's our MLB talk for this morning. Let's go over to the NBA. NBA, of course, um, playoffs are upon us. Let's see. Um, we have to look at some of yesterday's games. There was some games that was meaningful yesterday, but I think the season ends. Of course, today is the second, so we got the ninth. So okay, so I think the last day of the season. Oh no, wait. Oh okay, we got. Oh, so next Sunday. So not this Sunday, but the following Sunday. So yeah, we basically got a week left. Playoffs start Tuesday, um, the 14th of April. So, yeah, so we got a week left before the season is over with. Um, so with that being said, let's look at the standings so far. We're going to start with the East. We always start with the East, the conference. Um, Detroit Pistons, I give them credit. They held on to the one seed. People thought they was going to fall off a little bit without Cade. Their schedule's been moderately, I wouldn't say easy, but they had some tough games in there. Um, Still 4 games up on Boston. Just a week left, so 4 games is a big hill to climb with that little bit of time. But give the Celtics credit, being number 2 in the East, 51 wins on the season. I thought there would be maybe 6 or less. I didn't think they would be this high without Tatum, but Jalen Brown, that's why I think he deserves some MVP love. And he was getting it. He was getting it around the All Star break. But Victor Yama, we're going to talk about him in a second when we get to the West. But um, definitely SGA definitely deserves to be number one. I think he's going to win it again. Even though Wimby is really pushing for it, I think they're the top two. Um, Third, I think to me after those two, I would have to put Brown and Luca. I know Luca is third, according to a lot of people, but I think him and Luca is right there. I know Luca's leading the league in scoring, um, but I would put Jalen Brown and Luca right there. If Cade was still playing, I think that's what hurt him. Cade got hurt, and I don't even know if he qualifies. I don't know how many games he's missed overall, because you got to play 66 games. So what's that out of 82, 10, 6? So you only can miss 16 games. I know he's close to that, if not over that already. So he'd be disqualified, but he has to be. And like I said, I still think Detroit going to need him in the playoffs. Knicks holding on to that third seed. Knicks has been sort of free falling out of all the top teams. They playing probably the worst basketball. Lost 3 straight. Um, and I just think, uh, well, defensively they struggled this year all year long, but I think the offense is just inconsistent. Um, Jalen Brunson sort of seems like he's out of place. Karl Anthony Towns, like I said, Karl Anthony Towns got to be the definite number two. I think some nights he's number two, some nights he's just non-existent on offense. I think that got to change if the Knicks going to make a run. Cleveland, everybody was on Cleveland, especially the last 2 years. Getting James Harden, he's an X factor, but we know his playoff history. Um, Donovan Mitchell, um, only why I think they will want to stay fourth because at least I think they got a better chance against Detroit because they're inexperienced. But if they move and somehow get up to three, you get Boston in the second round. So maybe it's better for them to be four if they're gonna get further. But can't count them out. Atlanta Hawks. Atlanta Hawks is fifth now. I think Atlanta was lowest. What 10? They was in the 10-9 area. I would think they what 15-2 in their last 17 games or something like that. Um, really since the All Star break, they turned their season around. The kid Johnson, Kaminga, they added him. Hawks going to be a tough first round for anybody. Right now, to be Cleveland and them in the first round, I think they'd be tough. A tough out. Philadelphia Sixers at 6. You seen with Paul George, he just got back, but you seen what he's done. If Embiid's healthy, of course, Tyrese Maxey, they're going to be a tough out as well. So the Knicks will have to face them. So those two teams could throw, as I like to say, a monkey wrench in all the plans. I think Boston, to me, I understand why they starting to be the favorite now. I still like Detroit in a certain way, but they got to get Cade back to where he needs to be. Toronto Raptors, I give them credit as well. I didn't expect them to be this high this season, but you could just tell, especially over the last couple of weeks, that there's a ceiling to them. Like they're a nice story, but I don't see them getting out the first round. Charlotte as well. Feel the same way about the Hornets, but they played well. They just exciting to watch. They're exciting to watch. We'll see if they get out the play in. Um, the Orlando Magic, I did like I said, I'm not afraid to say that I picked them to come out the East. I just thought the East was a weird year to start the season. I thought they would sneak in, make the finals, and then lose to whoever is in the West. But um, I don't see them getting out the first round either, to be honest. So sort of out on that pick now. Um, uh, but it would surprise me if they make a little run. But the way they look right now is just hard. And then the Heat um, at 10. Like I said, the Heat. Well, you know what Bam did this year, the 83-point game. Um, I don't know. You just always think the Heat should be at least in that six or higher spot every year, but they always wind up in this play in, but then they make the playoffs. So, uh, but like I said, 9-10 is a hard spot because you only can lose one game. 7 and 8, you lose the first game, you got another opportunity. So, um, but they have Charlotte, Orlando, Miami all with 40 wins. So these can change over the next week or so. So we'll see if that happens. Then after that, everybody else eliminated. Milwaukee, Chicago, Indiana, Brooklyn, and the Washington Wizards all eliminated. Of course, the Bucks stay in the news because of Giannis. Giannis don't want to sit for the rest of the season. He wants to play. Um, for a business standpoint, yeah, you probably want him to go ahead and shut it down. Don't want him getting hurt. I think the Bucks going to try to trade him in the summer. Um, I really started to think he wants to move on. So he'll probably be on the trading block in the summer. Uh, we'll see what teams step up and once some things can happen. So we'll see what happens with that. But Doc Rivers, like I said, Doc Rivers, yeah, he's up for the Hall of Fame, which is I know it's not the difference, with baseball and football is pro Hall of Fame. Basketball is basketball, period. So that could be college. I think even amateur leagues, well, I wouldn't say amateur leagues, but other leagues around the world. So, um, uh, but with that being said, I mean the Bucks. I think they have to go into a new direction with Giannis. So we'll see what happens with that. Um, but like I said, your 10 teams are set. It's just going to depend on who lands where. The West, OKC number one, no doubt, 60 wins now. Big game tonight with the Lakers. We're going to look at some of tonight's games. That's a big game tonight for the Lakers and for the Thunder to be. Spurs right there, 58-18, 2 out. So let's just say the Lakers somehow win tonight. That'll help the Spurs out. They get that one. If the Spurs get the 1 seed, to me, And I know OKC is the former champion or the defending champion, but I would have to say the Spurs would be the favorite. Of course, the only hesitation with the Spurs, they this would be their first time in the playoffs. Usually, teams go through a little bit of growing pains. Um, but I could argue the Spurs kind of did with Wemby himself. You know, he's been there. This is his third season. Even though this would be his first time in the playoffs, but you know the blood clot issue, everything he's going through. Like I mean, I just think his mindset sort of trumps they in the series. And then Darren Fox, you know, he's been in playoff series even though they haven't won any, but he's there. So the Spurs organization as well. So I think it's a little different. And like I said, I just think they're a matchup problem for a lot of teams because of the guards, all the guards they have. So, but if they get the one seed, I think a lot of people will start saying, okay, the Spurs are for real. So, but OKC, I think they want to get that one seed. So, interesting game tonight with the Lakers. Speaking of the Lakers, they're the third seed right now. Um, they won what 18 out of 20. Luca, um, got himself in the MVP conversation. I like the Lakers. Um, Only team, like I said, for the Lakers, I would avoid, of course, the two teams that's above them, Spurs and Thunder. But of course, it's sort of everybody else after those two teams. Denver, right now is fourth. Um, Even though it's a different, both teams are kind of different. Um, but Denver with the Joker and it's just their experience. Maybe you don't want to see them in the first round. But the way it's looking like it's going to be Lakers third, Denver fourth. So Houston Rockets sort of remind you of the Knicks, just consistent, especially scoring wise. Like I said, as a Rocket fan, I'd be somewhat concerned going into the postseason. But Kevin Durant seems like he's starting to get his groove. If that's the case, Houston's going to be dangerous regardless because of how they do play defense, and then Kevin Durant can explode at any moment. Same about Minnesota. Those two teams to me are similar, even though some of Minnesota guys starting to step up. But if Ant Man don't be Ant Man, you don't, and if Durant don't be Durant, those two teams can have a quick exit. But Minnesota has proven they've been in the Western Conference Finals the last 2 years, so can't dismiss them um, just like that. But uh, I don't. I don't feel great about those two teams getting past the first round, especially if they stay where they are. Now they don't have home court in the first round. It'll be Minnesota Lakers. That'll be an interesting series if that happens. Houston, Denver. Um, I actually think they match up well with Denver because they do have Shangoon that can sort of make Joker play a little defense. That might distract them from the offensive side. They really nobody has nobody that can check the rant. So I think they match up well with the Nuggets. If they stay 4-5, but like I said, still a week left. So if Houston somehow can get four, drop them to 5, I think that'd be good for them. Um, I mentioned Minnesota; they will get the Lakers. They got a little history in the postseason as well. Um, well, Luca does. Luca, you know, when he got to the finals, he beat Minnesota. Um, so that'll be an interesting series if that happens. Phoenix still have a chance to get the 6, but I just don't think they are. But they'd probably be a strong 7. LA Clippers 8, 39 to 37 for them. Portland Trailblazers, like I said, they just got in trouble again with a fine. Something to do with illegal tampering or something like that. Um, but for this team to be here, like I thought they would be one of the bottom feeder teams this season. Of course, the Chauncey Billups situation, and then now this fine thing. But they continue to play good basketball. And the Golden State Warriors at 10. I'm gonna touch on the Warriors in a minute. Um, of course, everybody that's eliminated: Pelicans, Grizzlies, Mavs, Jazz, and Kings. all eliminated. Been eliminated for a while, actually. Uh, well, like I said, I mentioned Phoenix. I think Phoenix going to hold on to that seventh spot. Clippers, um, with Kawhi, of course, Kawhi, with his experience, the Clippers would be a dangerous team. But I kind of like if these four, well, Clippers, Blazers, and Warriors, they're going to be playing teams. Phoenix can still move up, but most likely that's not going to happen. Um, Honestly, I hope Phoenix and Portland get through. I don't want to see the Clippers and the Warriors in the actual playoffs. I just don't. Clippers to me, we'll see what they do in the off season. Will they move like Kawhi Leonard? Still issues with the um, what happened with him with the the well basically they say it's a scam and he got paid under the table. Whatever that situation starting to come back up again. But the Clippers, they give you false hope. But the Clippers and the Warriors are two first round teams. Let's just say they 7-8. Um, the media will be like, yeah, can they, the Clippers with Kawhi, can he do this? If he could do this to the Spurs and the Warriors with Steph Curry, he can take over. Like, no, these teams, even though Phoenix and Portland, I don't expect them to beat the Spurs and the Thunder either, but it'd be overhyped if the Clippers and the Warriors make it. So I kind of hope they fall. I'm not, as a fan, I just don't need it. We don't need that. Um, and for the Warriors, like I said, this is to Warriors fans. Like I said, my brother's a Warrior fan. He loved the Warriors. And the Warriors been a good. It's been a good run. It's been a good dynasty, somewhat. 4 championships. Um, Steph Curry is about to crack into the top 10 of all time. Um, Greatest shooter ever, no doubt. Got much respect for this organization. It's not. I just think that they're done. They're done. They need to. They need to revamp. Like still holding on that they could. Like my brother be talking crazy. Like yeah, if they, if they do this, they do that. They can still. I was like no. Like I'd be shocked if they get out the first round. It will shock the world actually because most likely they'd be an 8 because they in the 10, so the highest you can get is 8. Um, so they would get the Thunder right now. They're not beating the Thunder in the 7-game series, let alone winning a game. I think they get swept. Even if Steph is there, they're gonna get swept, man. So I just, just for our misery, just for their misery, I just hope they don't get out the first round. Get out the play-in to get to the first round because it's going to be overhyped. Clippers same way. If they make it, they're going to be overhyped. Like they can, oh, it's possible. No, it's not possible. They can't. They're not beating the Thunder or the Spurs. Name one of these teams. I don't think Phoenix or Portland can do it either. At least, that's what everybody gonna be saying. So, I hope the Warriors and the Clippers don't make it out to play in. I really don't hope it's not because it's gonna be overhyped. But just to stay on the Warriors, like Draymond. I mean, you look at it, and they got some good young talent. I like Brzezinski. I like some of the young guys they have. When Jimmy went down, that was pretty much it for them to me. Um, like I said, they should have worked it out with Kaminga. That's a whole nother story. I ain't gonna get deep into that because I really don't know why he didn't fit in with the Warriors. Steve Kerr basically said because he was young. Well, if that's the case, if that's really true, then if the Warriors, which I don't think they should do this per se, but everybody's on the table for a trade other than Steph. Steph is a lifetime Warrior. I don't really see him going nowhere else. Draymond, I'm starting to think he's not going nowhere either. I don't think he would want to. It depends on what the Warriors want to do. The Warriors, I think, would stay loyal to him as well. So I think those two, untouchable. Will you trade Jimmy again to get some assets? Get some draft picks or something. But Jimmy's sort of over the hill, so I don't think his value is not as high as it was, especially now after this injury. So I think the Warriors need to just I don't want to say tank because now the NBA starting to get on top of that, but I think they would have been better off being a lottery team, getting a bona fide young guy to start to build around. Let Steph play out the rest of his years, how many you want to play. Like I said, I don't think they're gonna do nothing with Draymond either. I just think he's a lifer as well with the Warriors. It'd be hard for me to see him go somewhere else. Um, so I guess those two untouchable, trade. What else you need to trade? But my whole point is the Warriors are finished. They're not a championship team. Um, not as constructed. Even if they'd have had Jimmy, I think at best they would have been like a top five, top six team. But the Warriors are done. So I hope, like I said, I hope they don't make the playoffs and get out the play in. I hope same day with the Clippers. I really hope they don't because it's going to be an overhyped train in the media. So, all right. So we went through the standings. One little I saw yesterday. I didn't write it on my notes, but I'm gonna touch on it a little bit. Pat Bev been in the well, he got his own podcast, and he been saying this for months. That, and I don't know. Some people say he's just trying to, get attention, get views and stuff. But basically, he been animate saying that James Harden is better than D Wade. Um, so a lot of other people gave their opinions on it. Um, uh, to me, two different players. I mean, they play the same. Well, really, James Harden to me is more of a point guard in today's NBA, but his natural position probably is the two. D Wade always been a two, so um, so that's what Pat Bev is saying. Um, Harden has done some great things in this league, especially with scoring. I think the year he won MVP, he averaged 34, 35 a game, almost 10 assists for the Rockets. The Rockets, James Harden was his apex for sure. Um, Everybody always wondered if he'd have stayed at OKC with Westbrook and Durant, maybe he was the missing piece for them to getting over the hump. Got to the finals as a young team against the Heat. Of course, the Heat was the Heat. He wasn't going to beat them, especially in the first couple of years. Of course, everybody wanted to believe it eventually. Westbrook, the last one to leave. Uh, of course, we could always say, what if, what if? Look at OKC now. A contender, won a championship. Uh, won an MVP. I think I don't know. I don't think the way ever won an MVP. I think Harden might have more All Star selections now. Um, I think he's more. He got a lot of stuff over D Wade as far as like individual wise, but of course, no championships for Harden. Dwayne got three. Um, the first one you can definitely say it was the Dwayne Wade with that. Oh, it was a lot of veterans on that Miami team, but all was past their prime. Even Shaq, even though Shaq was Shaq, but you could tell he wasn't in his prime anymore. Gary Payton, all these old guys, Aswell Walker, uh, a young Udonis Haslem, which was more involved. But in that Dallas series, he took over that series, won it in '06. Then the Heat, that first championship, when they beat the Thunder, it was more Wade still. LeBron was starting to become LeBron after that. Wade started breaking down a little bit. But they two different players. Now this is my opinion. Pat Bev not crazy. I don't think this is a crazy take. Um, I think Harden definitely is the more natural scorer, definitely the better shooter. D Wade was never a consistent shooter. D Wade played physical, drive to the basket. Mid range game was decent. Um, Sort of like I would compare him more to SGA, even though SGA shot is better also. But D Wade made his money on the line also because he would go inside and get fouled and then shoot free throws. That's where Dwayne got his points from. But he was clutch as well. Hit a lot of clutch shots in his career when he had to make them. Um, But honestly, I put it like this for me. Um, if I'm playing, pick up ball or like 2-on-2 or something like that, yeah, I would take Harden. But in an NBA game, when I want to win, if I had to choose one of the guys, I would take D Wade over Harden. And that's sort of my stance on it. So with that being said, um, I don't think it's outrageous. A lot of people think it's outrageous, not close, because of what D Wade done in the league. But Harden um, has his name stamped in the league as well. But I will take D Wade over him. So that being said, I would say Wade is a little bit better. Um, it depends on the circumstance, who I would take over who. But you can't go wrong with either guy. Um, and Harden, Harden played with the ball in his hands. D Wade played off the ball mostly. So yeah, so that's my take on it. But I don't think it's a crazy take if somebody thinks Harden better than Wade. I don't think it's crazy, but I don't agree. I would take Wade over Harden because I want to win. Simple as that. And Harden had a chance this year. Cleveland sort of, flying under the radar. Not a lot of pressure. He got hurt a little bit, but I think he's back now. So there's not a lot of expectation. Nobody talks about Cleveland. Everybody talks about the Knicks and the Celtics now, and even the Pistons before you get to the Cavaliers. So um, maybe being under the radar, not a lot of pressure. Maybe they can get through and do something. So we'll see. We'll see. He got a chance to rectify that, but he's been quiet. He haven't said anything. D Wade sort of clapped back on Pat Bev personally, saying, "Well, basically, you ain't close to me, so you basically need to shut up." So that's what he's pretty much said to P Bev. But it's not a crazy thing to say. But I would definitely go D Wade over Harden. But I ain't gonna argue too much against that. If you'd rather have Harden, um, and it depends how you build your team as well. Um, you might need a Harden or do you need a Wade, depending on what your team is like. But as far as who I want on my team, if I know that's I want to win, you got to go with D Wade. It's not that's where it sort of separates itself, um, to me and probably to a lot of people. So all right, so that's the NBA. We done with the NBA now. Let's go NFL. The owners meeting has been, it was happening in Phoenix. I think was it last week or a couple of weeks? I mean, not a couple of weeks, a couple of days ago. I think they still having meetings. I'm not sure. I know a lot of reporters went down there and left and came back to where they was supposed to come back to. But yeah, there's some other news came out. Well, let's get to the somewhat breaking news. This happened about an hour ago. Kirk Cousins, veteran quarterback, um, Falcons, Vikings, Washington. He is going to sign with the Las Vegas Raiders. Um, that was decided this morning. It was announced about an hour ago. Sort of breaking news. Uh, my initial reaction, and I think Kirk. I see him. I think during the playoffs or during the end of the season, he was commentator. I think he went on ESPN. He went on a couple of networks and talked about. I could just tell he's. I think in Atlanta he was upset when they drafted Penix. Uh, but um, Adam Schefter, of course, the best reporter when it comes to the NFL, he basically said, which is true, Cousins chose to go to the Raiders. So they expected to take Mendoza number one from Indiana. So he could probably wind up starting. It depends on um, at least this first year, at least the first couple of weeks, he could wind up starting. They probably wind up putting Mendoza out there after, you know. But He chose to come here, so he's coming here as a veteran, as a another mentor to Mendoza. Of course, Tom Brady is behind the scenes as well. So Las Vegas Raiders got an interesting season coming up now with this cousin signing. Very different now. Um, but he could wind up starting. It depends on if the Raiders want to throw Mendoza out there. Some people think they shouldn't. The offensive line still ain't right. The team around the office still ain't right. So get a veteran in there. Cousins can get the ball out of his hands. Not that mobile, but he can get the ball out of his hands. Of course, worst case scenario, something happens, you could go to Mendoza. Maybe by week 6, 7, maybe during half the season, put Mendoza, let him watch a little bit. Um, but these rumors about since we talked about number one pick, Ty Simpson is starting to really get a lot of buzz. All in the media, all I've been saying that now a lot of commentators coming out saying they think Simpson is the better option than Mendoza, despite what Mendoza has done. I mean, I don't. I mean, it's hard to deny Mendoza, this number one pick, if you need a quarterback. But like I said, it's going to depend. Like I said, the Jets pick number two. Will they take him? If they saying what they think he should go in the first couple of picks. Um, if he wind up falling, then this is all a bunch of smoke and mirrors. Maybe the Simpson camp is trying to push him, you know, so he could be a top pick. Um, but all intents and purposes, I think the Raiders going to stick with Mendoza. Now they got Cousins to back him up, or pretty much be the mentor. He might start the season. Um, so we'll see it. But it's an interesting choice by Cousins, knowing that he's not the long term answer for the Raiders. He went there. So, um, really, but if you really think about it, well, the Jets got Geno, but I was going to say the Jets might, you know, want a veteran to start. But they got Geno. Maybe Miami, to compete with Willis. If he wanted to start, that was possible. There's probably a couple other teams I can't think of from the top of my head, but the Raiders, you definitely know it's only a matter of time. Even if you start the season, you're not going to probably finish the season. So he knows that. But I think he's humble enough now. I think, like I said, they said on Netflix where they got the quarterback documentary with him. It's Burrow and Jared Goff. That's a nice show I saw on Netflix. He's a competitor. Um, Very laid back guy. You see, like at Washington, that's where you really show he was a competitor, able to beat out RG3, even though RG3 had injuries, but was a decent quarterback. Minnesota was as well. Had his moments in Atlanta, but just couldn't reach the potential that they thought they would have with Atlanta. But um, I like it for him, though. I like it for him, man. I like it for the Raiders. Get some veteran leadership in there. Um, the Max Crosby thing, they was talking about that as well. Will they still try to trade him? I don't think so. I think his value has gone down significantly now that this happened to him. He got sent back basically because of his knee. So I think other teams are not going to get nowhere. Even though my Ravens, I thought they should have still just did it because we need as much pass rushing as we need. Um, yeah, they was able to get Higginson from Cincinnati, and we get to keep our first round pick. So I get it, but I still would have probably went through with it and had both guys if possible. Um, and maybe that's just me being naive, but I would have stuck with the trade. At least we got Trey, so even if Crosby wouldn't be ready for the season, we still got Trey there. Then Crosby comes back. Um, But for the Raiders now, I think they should just go ahead, maybe ride out another season with them. Unless somebody come you with an offer you think you can't refuse, like like two first rounders or something like that. If nobody don't come with that type of offer, I'll go ahead and sit, keep them. Um, so we'll see. We'll see what happens with that. But that was, like I said, that was a weird situation. Even though it's been like a month now since that happened, but um, I would have kept him as a Raiders fan. I would have still kept him and still try to get Trey. That's just me. So um, other stuff that came out these meetings. Eagles. It was some type of report um, that Jalen Hurts was a little bit of a problem for the offense last year. They said he changed plays at the line of scrimmage, did things to really compromise the offense. Of course, AJ Brown, of course, all season long was voicing his opinion about the offense. Jalen Hurts is, to me, of course, what he's done so far, he's to me he's earned some type of leeway. You won a Super Bowl, you could have won another one over the Chiefs. Uh, but if you look at you go back to his college days, Alabama, Tua wind up sort of beating them out. You go to Oklahoma, um, still played pretty well, but wasn't a first round pick, wound up going to the second round. Even at the beginning of his Eagles days, he didn't throw the ball much. He was more of a option quarterback. They start opening up the passes for him. When they went and got AJ Brown, uh, you still just got the feel that even though, and I think it's probably disrespectful to him, but he still don't feel like. I think the Eagles still is like, yeah, Jalen, you good, but I think they still can sort of see like, not saying that they thinking about moving on from him, but I don't think they fully 1,000% behind him. Still thinking that, which wouldn't be too bad the thing to think of. They still could be, you know, could get a little bit better. Still need some work. But to be fair to him, like I think this is his fifth coordinator. He's been there, like he's had a different coordinator every season he's been there. So that's the issue. You gotta look into that as well. We can't put that all on Jalen. Um, I just think, and I seen some Eagles games last year. I think Saquon got to be the vocal point. Give it to Saquon. You know what Saquon can do. I think the Eagles try to I put it well. They said he changed the plays. What? So did he change? Checked it to passing plays when it's supposed to be a run. But I think they should really establish the run and play off of that. Um, but it seemed like last year it's like they wanted to throw the ball so much. And now it's coming out that he changed plays at the line of scrimmage and things of that nature. So did he change? You know, checked out a runs to a pass. If so, that's not good. But the Eagles clearly are offenses. They should be a running football team. Even though they got the talent with Brown and Smith, uh, and the receivers that they have, but I think Saquon should be the vocal part of their offense. Like with the Ravens, same thing. I'm a Ravens fan. I'm gonna say the same thing. Like Derrick Henry should get the ball 20 times a game, easy. I think it's safe for the Eagles. Saquon should get the ball 20 times. But no matter what you're doing, what is going on here, that's your strength. The offensive line is your strength for the Eagles for sure. So you should be one of those teams that's pretty much either 50-50 or, running passing, or at least 55-45. You should run the ball a lot. Um, so that's just, simple thing the Eagles could do. We'll see what they do with AJ Brown. The draft's coming up. Maybe a trade will be in the mix. People saying he might go to New England. That's the rumor because Mike Vrabel, former coach for the Titans, they was there in Tennessee together. So it makes sense that the New England needs another type flight receiver. I think Diggs is gone, so um, I think Drake may get him the ball like he wants. Makes sense, but we'll see if that happens. Um, but the Eagles, yeah, I mean, I thought um, I was sort of surprised how they sort of flamed out, even though they flamed out before, but didn't like the way they ended the season at all. Um, Very disappointed. That was my Super Bowl pick to begin the season. Um, but of course, the emergence of the Seahawks changed a lot of people's minds. But I still think they're the team. It's the division. I think is they gotten closer though. I think teams has gotten closer to them. I think. Well, we're gonna talk about Dallas a little bit as well with Pickens, but I think by default because I don't because Dallas got a lot of issues. The Commanders, Washington got a lot of issues. Giants are just young, even though they got John Harbaugh as the coach. But the Giants still got a lot of work to do. So the Eagles sitting pretty in the East, but after that, is you on the level with Seattle? Is you on the level with the Niners? Or you on the level with the Rams? Even teams in the North, Bears, um, Packers, Detroit. So um, where do you land in that space? You good? The East, you should win that, but after that, where the Eagles going to go? So we'll see if they figure that out. New York Jets was in the news as well. Coach Erglin uh, said some things. He said Gino um, is going to take us to the promised land or whatever he said. Basically, but I'm not one of those fans. Yeah, I don't, certain things, of course, I don't want to hear as a fan sometimes, but um, maybe I'm not a Jets fan, so that's why when Jets fans were saying he was talking crazy, I'm not going to argue with you with that, but I wouldn't really pay this no mind. Like I said, Geno Smith came a long way. He goes back pretty much back home. He got drafted by the Jets. Um, don't quote me on the year, but I think Geno been around at least close to 10 years now, if not already. I didn't like I didn't like his attitude when he came out. He got the starting job. Um, just was a little arrogant to me. Had some issues in the locker room. Not going to really get into all that. Bounce around, the league. Gets to Seattle, pretty much with Pete Carroll revamps his career a little bit, become a decent quarterback. Go to the Raiders, sort of disappointing. Thought he would do a little bit more there, um, but we'll see. I think this is a good opportunity for him, though. Like I said, I wonder what the Jets going to do with this second pick. Will they take a quarterback or not? Will they take Simpson? Um, But at least, like I said, if they do wind up going that direction, at least you got a veteran to sort of take the lumps first, take the pressure off the young guy. So I think this is a good move for the Jets. But like I said, it's easy for me to say because I'm not a Jets fan. But like I said, I think people taking his words a little bit too literal. And I like Eric. I like his attitude in a way. I think he needs to dial it down a little bit because it's the Jets and if you say something, you better back it up, or it's going to blow up in your face. And I guess that's what Jets fans are saying. Let's say if Gino go out there and plays horribly, um, they go bring back quote back up from now. What's it? This April. They're gonna bring this quote up. The first time Gino threw an interception during the season. So I guess as a Jets fan, I get it. Just lay back, be quiet. Get the team back where they need to be. Um, and I think the East, New England, Buffalo, Buffalo ain't going away with Josh Allen. But really after that, I mean, I like New England still, but really, they still got some uncertainty there. So Jets and the Dolphins got a chance to, sort of be a little surprise. So we'll see if once this thing gets rolling. We only in April, the draft. Like I said, we didn't even get to the draft yet. So, um, but yeah, maybe he needs to just tone it down a little bit, just sort of lay under the radar, go to work, get the Jets back to where they need to be. Uh, Cowboys made news again as well. Jerry Jones again. Um, Seems like it's going to be another contract situation again. This time with the receiver George Pickens. They already franchised him. He didn't sign the tender, so that means he can't participate in any offseason workouts or anything like that. So I doubt if he signs the tender now. If he ain't signed it by now, he's not going to sign it. Um, I didn't know, or I forgot that his agent is the same as Michael Parsons' agent. So this seems like it's about to be the same story again. Probably don't nothing get resolved until close to the season, as always. Um, if you just go off what Pick did in Pittsburgh, is he going to be a distraction? Um, if this don't get done, uh, a few experts say, which makes sense if you look at it. They should just go ahead and let Pickens go. Maybe you got CD with 32 million, but CD gonna want more. If they all right, somebody said this too. If let's just say they give Pickens the money, CD gonna want more. He's gonna want more money. Like I'd be shocked if he just say okay, no, he's gonna want more money. So most experts said they should just move on from Pickens. Maybe even trade him, get some more. Build your defense. Just go ahead with Dak and CD. That's enough. You draft for receivers, a deep receiver draft. Draft some young guys to go on the other side of CD and go from there. Don't blame them if they did that. I like George Pickens. I think at his apex, he's a top receiver in this league. The best hands in the league to me. He's not to hide his hands. See if you go back and see some of his highlights, he don't put his hands up to the last minute, so DBs can't participate where the ball goes. That's how he makes a lot of his catches. If you go look at his tape, I love everybody put out the Detroit game where he sort of checked out of that game, wasn't engaged. A game Dallas needed. That does hurt him. You have to admit that, but when he's engaged, this guy has top five receiver talent. There's no question about that. But Dallas, this is what they do. Jerry, this is what he does. He likes to drag stuff on so Dallas can stay in the news. Even though the media keep Dallas in the news also, so they just him. But this situation, I don't see getting resolved anytime soon. I think it's going to drag out. Um, but I guess I'm sort of on the fence because like I would want to keep him and CD. Um, but I don't want lowball him either. I would see if he wants Jackson Smith and Jigma just got what 42 and a half. I would try to get picked. Maybe I would ask. Okay, if I give you 38, is you cool with that? But I don't think. I think he's the way his attitude is. He probably think he should at least get close, at least 40. But I would try to get him for 38. But um, we'll see. Will he take that? If he takes that, I'll go ahead and give him that. If he don't, then I probably would try to flip him and get some assets to improve my defense, and then we could draft the other young receiver in the draft, and then I'll go ahead and give CD his extra money now. I'll get him up to 40. That's what I would do if I was Dallas, but we'll see what they do. But Jerry's gonna drag this out, man. This is gonna go at least to August, I think. If you go off just recent history, all the history of Jerry Jones and contracts. He said some crazy stuff, basically, uh, which I did take offense to personally. Basically said on the lines of basically he is daddy and some crap called a boy or whatever it was. Um, but yeah, it's this media is extra sensitive, so if anything can be interpreted to anything, probably should say it. So, um, so we'll see. But yeah, more drama in Dallas. Who's surprised that that came out um, at the oldest meetings. One more thing, sort of breaking news to me. Uh, the Cleveland Browns, another team that seems like can't get things right, especially with their quarterbacks. Um, the owner came out and said that um, Deshaun Watson still have a chance to be a starter, and I like Deshaun. I do. I liked him in Houston. Of course, he got into a little bit of trouble. Then pretty much been injury prone ever since. Cleveland pretty much gave them the world, guaranteed 240, um, which they still paying him. So I kind of get it on that aspect, but I would just, I think it's good for the Browns just to move on from him. Um, I think they should just move on. I don't think they should even entertain this, to be honest. And I like Deshaun Watson. I think he might get another opportunity. It's gonna be tough for him though. Um, but I think Cleveland knows that uh, ain't nobody gonna take him. They don't probably want to eat the money. He's there. He's healthy. So why not give him a shot? But I probably wouldn't have said he has a. I wouldn't have said it publicly that he has a chance to be the starter, even though he kind of does. If he's on the roster, but I wouldn't have made it that adamant like that. Shador, of course, he's there, so he's been brought up. I mean, it's hard, it's. I mean, it might sound like he's being sabotaged, and maybe he is. Like, maybe he is. I ain't gonna say he isn't, but unfortunately, this is part of the league. Um, he played decently well last season, near the end of the season. I think he should get a fair shot this time in training camp. It shouldn't be they just go give the starting job to Deshaun. That'd be nuts. Um, I think the head coach. I think he's basically said he looking forward to working with Deshaun. Maybe he feel like he can get him somewhere back to where he was. Um, but some people say, well, if he can't beat out Shador, even though Shador played well last season, but if he can't beat out Shador, then he don't deserve the job. So I agree with that though. So he should have the advantage. He's been in the league longer. So why not? But I wouldn't have made it so adamant. You know, making it seem like basically it is Deshaun's job. I think that's what the owner sort of did. Um, and of course, he came out and said, you know, during the draft that he wasn't really for Shador. So maybe he's secretly rooting for Deshaun to win the job because I think, they were giving he don't want to look wrong, giving Deshaun that money. That's what I think this is about. You know, he don't want to admit that he made a mistake with Deshaun, so he's hoping Deshaun resurrects and plays well enough to get this job. That's the only thing that makes sense. Um, so this is something to look forward to. Of course, a lot of teams about to go to the off-season workouts, so um, we'll see. Some stuff will come out with that, and then the draft coming. So we'll see. But I think he should have said that. I think he should have either not said nothing about it, um, or just make it. Just be sort of PC and just say, well, it's an open competition, but you ain't have to specifically say. Say like he said, basically, it's Deshaun's job to lose, which it shouldn't be. It should be open competition, really, all the way around. So so that made some headlines yesterday. Um, um, Other thing came out late last night. I saw this, and I'm not going to touch on this too long either. Um, Puka Lacua checked into a rehab facility with the Rams. Of course, he's in a little bit of trouble with, what's supposed to be behind him drinking alcohol. Um, Not going to judge, not going to say this is just PR. Um, but I think this is a smart move because, he's being sued right now. So, um, but I don't know, I'm going to go with personal experience. Now, I've never been like sued, of course, or nothing like that. But I have, alcohol has got me in trouble. So, I kind of get that side of it. Um, to a lesser scale, Um, but I guess imagine as a professional athlete, you just can't be willy nilly like this, drinking and doing whatever you're doing, partying and stuff like that. Um, so I think Puka is trying to get ahead of, you know, a lot of things. But if he, but even if it is for PR, um, I can imagine that this is a good thing for him to, get himself right, get his mind right. Um, sort of take a moment, think about what he's doing or what he did. Um, like I said, I never did any rehab, but I know drinking has got me in trouble. I said some things, did some things that you wouldn't do when you're drinking, and everybody say, well, you probably really wanted to do those things in the first place. Even if that's true, but also, like I said, you wouldn't do those things if you was drinking. So it's no crime of thinking things as long as you don't actually do the acts. So, um, I think he's doing it for the lawsuit also, but I think he should really take it in and really get the help, and chill out. I got some personal things going on in my life, but like I said, I had I drank a little bit yesterday, but I'm not gonna drink for at least for the rest of this year. I got potentially some things coming up in my life that I want to have a clear head on. So I'm pretty much gonna chill on the drinking myself. So that's why I wanted to talk about this just to mix it in with my personal experiences. Um, Puka's what, only 24, 25 years old. About to probably get a JSN type of contract. So I think he needs to get his mind right. Get this lawsuit out the way, focus on his career. He's in a great situation with the Rams. Don't want to mess that up by making a dumb mistake because he was inebriated and you know basically lose out on your career. So I think it's a smart move for him, and I wish him the best. And I can relate. Like I said, I can relate. Like I said, I've made some mistakes because of my drinking. Some mistakes that I, you know, I wish I could take back. So I just leave it at that. So I hope the young man gets the help that he needs, get under this lawsuit, and continue his career. So, but yeah, that came out late last night. Um, Other one more NFL thing I want to touch on. The the refs, they in the CBA is up, so they negotiating. Uh, Remember the first 4 weeks of the one of the seasons that uh they had to put replacement refs up there, and they had a lot of mistakes happen. Um, I think I heard the refs went 10% raise. I think the NFL was coming with 4 or 5%, something like that. So that's where the disconnect comes. But I think they gotta make it this gotta get the CBA done before the end of this month, or it's possible that we'll see replaces refs. I don't want to see it. Obviously, no fan want to see replaces refs out there. So hopefully they get this done. But of course, everybody said the NFL was cheap. They should go ahead and give them the 10%. They got enough money. All that noise, which is probably true. But I think the NFL is going to do it because, especially now that you're back then it wasn't gambling, it wasn't illegal then. Gambling was it's legal now. So if the let's just say the replacement refs out there and somebody start losing some bets, it's going to be a problem. So I think the NFL was just holding on, but I think they're going to cave to this because you'll wind up losing money if the replacement refs out there and some crazy things happen with calls and fans are not going to like that. So I think the NFL was going to. I think this is going to get done. I don't think it's going to get to the point where we got um, replacement refs out there. So all right, so that's the NFL. It was a lot of news this week because of the owners' meeting. So a lot of stuff came out, touched on pretty much all the big things. So that'll pretty much do it. We're an hour and 10 minutes in. Uh, some quick final thoughts. Let's go ahead and get into the Tiger Woods thing. He's on the thumbnail. Um, Before I say, touch on the serious stuff, Tiger Woods, I'm a huge fan of Tiger Woods. Him, as far as other than the three major sports, of course, my favorite athlete growing up was Jerry Rice, Gary Sheffield, um, and basketball. Michael Finley was one of my favorites, even though, of course, it was Jordan and a lot of other athletes. Michael Finley was just underrated. So I kind of liked him. So they was my three athletes. Shamika Holflaw, women's basketball player, played for Tennessee. Didn't have a great WNBA career, but that Tennessee Vols team in the mid '90s was great. I enjoyed her, watching her. Um, with all that being said, Tiger was right up there. Also, Serena Williams, I throw in there as well. What Tiger did, the Masters was in '97. I think he was 19 and won it. Set records in all types of ways. Just was dominant from that point on. Um, then the injuries started happening. And then the off the golf course stuff. The thing with his wife. Uh, a lot of other things. Um, but this is his third time, um, basically with a DUI charge. Um, no excuses for him. He knows better. He's 50, 51, around that age. Um, Gotta know better, man. Like, you really could have hurt yourself or somebody else. Um, Looking at the scene for this latest incident, car flipped over like that, man. Anything could have happened, man. Um, so I'm not absolving him for that. He needs to take responsibility. I don't like his little statement he had yesterday, basically pleaded for his privacy. I get that, but at the same time, bro, he never said, he know better. He basically not basically he's not taking responsibility. I think that's the issue with this. He ain't take responsibility for what he done. He said he was looking down at his phone or some bogus excuse, which don't make sense because if you're trying to pass a car, why that be you got to focus on getting around. It don't make sense. It don't make sense at all. They found drugs on him, um, and I think he's being sued also, so he got a lot of stuff to deal with. He said he's gonna step away from golf. Masters starts today, I think. First round of the Masters start today. He won't be there, which sucks. As a golf fan, that he won't be around the Masters. So, um, he checked himself into a facility as well. So hopefully he gets the help and takes it serious. Um, Everything that he's gone through. I talked to some people; they don't feel sorry for him at all. At all. Like, even with the wife and all that stuff. I ain't gonna go into it. Some people say it, but um, basically, Tiger is Tiger. Um, OJ Simpson, rest his soul, never claimed that they was black. 'Cause Tiger never did either. So we got some of our people that don't like that. So never really, you know, liked them for that reason. But that's not. I'm not one of those people. But I think he's one of the greatest golfers ever. I wish he would have broke the Jack Nicklaus record because he was trending to doing that, and then all this stuff happens and he falls short. Um, but yeah, it's been over for him. Everybody still. I was still one of those people rooting for him, hoping he would get at least tied a record. But that's not going to happen unless a miracle happens. His body's broken down. See, like mentally, he has issues as well. So his son looked good. They show his son playing sometimes. So, but Tiger, you can't make no excuses for him. This is the third time he could have killed somebody or killed himself. Because my first reaction when it came out was like, oh my God, well, not again. That was my first reaction. Um, and so, like I said, he could have been killed, man. He could have, I don't want him to, go out like that. So that was my thoughts, on it. But yeah, he gotta take responsibility. He gotta take responsibility for this, which he sort of did, but not fully like he should. Um, so hopefully, when we do see him again in the public, he's got himself back together and um, he's healthy, at least mentally. Like forget the golf thing. He's done golf. He's done. He'll probably play around here and there, but the golf tiger has been gone. Um, so even me, I gotta get the grips with that. That the golf tiger is gone. So, um, but yeah, you gotta take responsibility, man. You gotta take responsibility, and hopefully, um, if the medication that he is on, if you have to take him, just get a driver, man. You make enough money, get a driver. It's not hard. Get somebody to drive you around. Um, Simple as that. So I like I said, I wasn't surprised. I just was hoping that he wasn't. I just was thinking like, hope he ain't hurt so bad or hurt somebody else so bad. But he didn't take much responsibility for what he's done. So um, hopefully, he go gets the help and we see him in the public figure again. But uh, yeah, he's uh, like I said, all-time great golfer. But in this situation, he dropped the ball and got to take responsibility for it. All right, so let's check out the final four for both the women's and the men. Illinois, UConn, our first game Saturday for the men. Wisconsin, Minnesota, excuse me, Michigan, Arizona. Is that second game between two one seeds. Um, of course, I had Duke. Duke is, of course, is gone. Like I said, this game, everybody think the Michigan Arizona game is going to be determine the champion. I like UConn though. I like UConn. Uh, like what they did to Duke. I'm starting to ride with UConn, but I think the winner of this Arizona Michigan game will be a formidable opponent for UConn. I don't want to just dismiss Illinois, but I think UConn should handle them. So that's the men's side. We look at the women's side. All the one seeds made it through, and of course the UConn women is just unstoppable, still undefeated. They will get South Carolina. I think it's going to be a closer game than people think. Um, I really think it is. Even the spread is kind of low, 6.5. Still surprising that thought it'd be higher because UConn been blowing everybody out the water. Um, so we'll see how that game goes, but I do think it's going to be like 6.5. I guess that's kind of perfect because they must think it's going to be closer than anticipated as well. Texas, UCLA, don't know much about these two teams to be honest. They say Texas is very good defensively. UCLA puts the ball in the basket, so it's going to be I guess, a force of will. Texas is the favorite in this game, so I think the women's Final Four is definitely more intriguing than the men, even though the men got some good teams on us on that side. But I guess the story is, will UConn uh, win it again, or will somebody knock them off? Um, so that'll be interesting to see um, this weekend. So, like I said, the women's start tomorrow with their Final Four. Men's is on Saturday, and then the national championship game for the women is Sunday, and then the men's is Monday night. So, can't wait for that. That's what's going on this weekend. UFL. I want to touch on the UFL, even though I think I wrote down XFL. But this is UFL. It's a game tomorrow. Defenders, Aviators. Um, I try to follow this, but it's not easy to follow. Um, but I like the UFL. I probably try to maybe watch the game tomorrow just to see the vibe. Um, of course, it's only been 1 week played. I think the top two teams played for the championship. Or was it a playoff? I'm not sure. Um, I guess I had to do some research on that, but that's what's going on this weekend as well. We got the Masters, like I said. Tiger won't be there, but it's still the Masters, still one of the greatest golf events of the season, of the year. So a big sports weekend in a way. Um, NBA, like I said, is coming down to the wire. You still got baseball as well. So, but all right. So I touched on everything I wanted to touch on. We had an hour and 21 minutes. I appreciate you guys so much. I'm gonna go ahead and get out of here. As far as the channel, Saturday I probably try to put up some content. Check that out. As far as my gaming, we are going to start going live again at night, Wednesdays and Fridays. We'll start doing that again, mostly this month. So stay tuned for that. Um, like I said, some days, like I said, I don't. I got a big announcement. I'm not going to make it probably till June. When things really start to develop, I make that announcement. Then y'all probably understand why I've been sort of like here and there, here and there. Um, but I appreciate you guys hanging in there with me. Um, you guys came through last week as well. Appreciate you guys. So like I said, Saturday, look for some content, some Resident Evil, Requiem, God of War, of Sparta, Marathon, which is a game is still hot. Um, Even though I see that a lot of people say they think the game's going to fade off as the months go by. I'm having fun with it. It's a different game for me. Um, I've been trying to play mostly solo to get myself right. I've had some successful runs, but most of the time I've been getting whacked out before I can get out of the run. So, but it's a fun game. I like it. You'll see more content on that. Matter of fact, starting next Wednesday, we'll start going live on Wednesdays and Fridays again. So I appreciate you guys so much. Just stay tuned to my community wall. I'll make some announcements there as well. And y'all have a great rest of the week. Happy holidays if you celebrate Easter, Passover, all that good stuff. Happy holidays to you. Hope you have a great weekend. And next week I should be on. I don't know what my work schedule is like. But if it's in the middle of the week, I will be on in the morning again. And I appreciate you guys so much for watching. I'm Troy West saying thank you. You just watched episode 325. And also, I almost forgot, even though it was yesterday, we've been on, this is only 325 episodes, but we've been on, I've been doing the blog for since 2017, so 9 years yesterday, April Fool's yesterday. I did my first video, episode 1, where I previewed the MLB season, which was still in April. Now, they start the season in late March now. But, so this is sort of the anniversary. We'll probably celebrate it maybe next week sometime. We'll talk about it. I'll bring up some old things. go through some old episodes maybe. But yeah, we've been on. I've been on for 9 years. Yesterday was the anniversary of the blog. So appreciate you guys so much. So I just want to throw that out there. Well, like I said, we'll talk about that more. And y'all have a great rest of the week. And happy holidays to you. Peace and love always. You just watched episode 325. I'm Troy West saying thank you guys so much. I'll see you guys next week. I'll see you guys this weekend. I'm going to do some content this weekend. So I'll see you guys this weekend. And happy holidays, happy Easter, Passover, all that stuff. Appreciate you guys. Peace and love. I'll see you guys.